Hello, welcome to the Healing Garden. This is Anna Imagination, and I am doing a 2 to 5 minute video only to really sink my announcement down into this. I've been on this massive debate all morning, and I'm definitely mentally drained because I just came out of a 1 hour, 2 hour long, delicious political debate, and there's confusion, and I can see exactly where the confusion is. So I've basically am posting this video to clarify and clear up this confusion. There is a misleading belief inside of most people's head. We're going to look right at that misleading belief. This is so abstract a concept that people are struggling with it. So I'm just looking right, I'm honing into this misleading belief. Our society has removed philosophy from it. Most people have never seen philosophy. Most people don't know what it is. The people who study philosophy today are the people who are a niche, very small group. It's not a requirement, it's a hobbyist thing. There's almost no philosophers today. This is a problem. I am a philosopher. So my approach is so far outside of the box that we are used to seeing within our society that people are really struggling to grasp this concept. So we're going to dissect a single misleading belief that a lot of people have. Politics is the study of ethics. It is specifically the argument of ethics, and it is mostly broken down into who is right and who is wrong. This is not philosophy. This is politics. I don't do this crap. I'm going to throw that away. That is where most of our brains are because we grew up in the patriarchy where we had politics rammed down our throats. And either you learned how to ram your politics down somebody else's throats, or you had your throat crammed with somebody else's garbage that you didn't want in your mouth to begin with. That's politics. Throw that away. That's not what I'm doing. Welcome to the wonderful world of philosophy. Philosophy comes from Greece, and it is the art and the study of thinking. There are rules in philosophy. The rules of philosophy do not exist in politics. This is where the misleading thinking is immediately the problem. There are no rules in politics except one. Be bigger, be louder, be aggressive, and you're right. That's not philosophy. Philosophy, rule number one, you have to be a student. You have to be humble. If you do not have an open mind, you are not allowed. 2, you have to have studied formal debate and or have a very solid grasp on logic and formal argument. Plato had a rule, a plaque actually, written on the door of his university that said, quote, "Let no man who has not studied geometry enter these walls." Because geometry, and I've studied geometry, is logic. It forces your brain to immediately assume an emotionless status of logic. I'm going to emphasize emotionless. Emotionless. Politics is emotional. Philosophy is not. In philosophy, you check your ego at the door. You humble yourself. You come in ready to learn. You come with an open mind. You can debate, but you do not engage in a heated debate. Big difference. Because the moment it becomes emotional, your cognitive core is now turned on and you are speaking out of fear and trauma. I have no use for that, neither did Plato. That gets checked at the door. That's politics. We don't do that here. In philosophy, it is a single teacher, a primary philosopher standing in the center. And the goal of the philosopher is to get you to think. That is all. Calm, logic, cool. We're just talking here. Remember that. There is no right. There is no wrong. That's ethics. That's politics. That's out there. It's not what's in here. In here, welcome to philosophy. It is the study of thinking. The goal is only to teach you how to see a situation from a different point of view. It is the devil's advocate. It is the ability to take your own viewpoint and question it without emotion. Now, as a psychologist, I will be the first one to sit down and tell you emotions are required. Emotions are logical. But when it comes to formal debate, philosophy, and argument, they have no place in this space. In this space, it is a calm, psychologically safe place for you to come in and discuss your viewpoints and compare them to another person's to determine if your perspective should be altered or not. In this practice, you build confidence, you develop knowledge, you become aware, you become open-minded. You learn your own ability to set a boundary and enforce it. You build self-esteem, you build self-awareness. In politics, that's where a bunch of gorillas get together and they cram their aggressive opinions down your throat, and most of them will do so at any cost. We don't do that here. I do not use any names, any political labels to describe my politics. Ask me what I think about abortion, I will tell you. Ask me what I think about a person's rights, I will tell you. Ask me what I think about Trump, I will tell you. But these terms that people throw around, conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, I don't use those words. That is in the political arena. This is not a political arena. This is a philosophical stage where we all come together and we compare our differences, because in this space, I want your differences. Because if you are different than me, then we can discuss and compare how we're different. So I can learn your point of view and I can teach you mine. And we can contribute and mold our opinions together, or we can decide that's a really interesting opinion. You know, it's not for me though. I respect you, but it's definitely not for me. Does that look at all like politics that you have ever seen in your life? No, because this is not a political space. It's really, really amusing to me that I published on purpose a post about philosophy and the value of human life. And so many people made it political. And I went, people, this is philosophy, not politics. Now, the reason why I did this is because, boom, psychology is a branch of philosophy. That's why. Because I can't sit down and talk to you about what trauma has done to your brain if you're not thinking like a philosopher. That's why there's so much mental illness in this world, is because no one is thinking like a philosopher. The art of overcoming mental illness is your ability to shift your perspective. You cannot shift your perspective if you aren't thinking. You can't think if you are in a political arena. This is no political arena. This is a philosophical stage where you are going to be taught how to view life differently, because shifting perspectives is exactly what it's going to take for you to step from where you are with your perspective and shift over here if you want to get rid of your mental illness. Because this is psychology, and psychology is not a science. I could slap the asshole who came up with that concept. Psychology is a philosophy, which is why Carl Jung, the father of Jungian theory, very much was a philosopher. So this concept that psychology is a medical field is bullshit. No, it's not. This concept that psychology, first of all, psychology, the study of the psyche. And I'll say again, before we had psychology in the late 1800s with Freud, we had philosophy. And we have had philosophy for over 3,000 years. So this concept that psychology is new is bullshit. Psychology is just philosophy. The political powers that be removed philosophy for our culture because they wanted us to be obedient. I don't want to talk about that right now. That's the political arena. That's not in this space. This space is for philosophers because you are trapped. This is mental illness. You are trapped in a different perspective that isn't even yours. That is what a mental illness is. You are trapped in an abusive perspective that was forced on you. So to get you mentally healthy, to change you so that you heal, which is the goal here because it's the healing garden, I need to take you out of the abuser's perspective and shift you into a thinking perspective. And the only way I can do that is through philosophy, which is a dead practice in our society. It is so foreign a practice that most people can't wrap their head around it. Wait a minute, you don't want me to argue? Wait a minute, this is a safe space? Well, yeah, it's philosophy. Haven't you ever looked in philosophy before? No, because the government doesn't want you to, which is why it was not in your school. So, welcome to the philosopher's stage. Psychology is a branch of philosophy. There is no emotion here. Emotions are tools from your subconscious to communicate to you when trauma is happening. That's all. So if you're emotional, you're just talking out of trauma, which is why the political arena is over there. It's not here. I'm allowed to believe whatever I want to believe. It's not really your business. If you make it your business, now I can call you out on your trauma and say, that's trauma talking. People are allowed to have their own opinion. Get back to the political arena. Let's look at philosophy. The tools I use to get you to think, to challenge you, is what a healer does. A healer purposely makes you uncomfortable so you will think. Because the abuser who put the mental illness in your brain did the opposite. So you need to feel uncomfortable so you can think. Once it gets you thinking, you'll do most of the work on your own. But you got to start thinking. And there's only one way to get you to start thinking: philosophy. Thank you for joining me. This is Anna Imagination with a Healing Garden. May the kindest of words always find you.